and welcome. Today I'm going to talk about how to design your CV in 12 easy steps. This video will be very useful for students doing their undergrad, postgrad, or PhD. Or it might also be helpful for some recent graduates who are looking for a position to apply for a job. All right, so let's get started. This video is sponsored by Skyspace, which is an AI platform for researchers. Do check it out if you are into research. The website is typeset.io. There is a 40% discount coupon in the description of this video if you want to subscribe. In the month of March, I have been doing regular daily webinars on various aspects of research, and these are some of the videos that I have completed over the last 3 weeks. And they are all very useful videos for students or researchers, so do check them out. All these videos are there on my YouTube channel, so do subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow for more updates. All right, let's start today's session. Today we're going to talk about how to design your CV. So what is it that you need in your CV, and what are some tips and tricks that you should cover? So let's start with the definition, right? A CV is a comprehensive document that outlines your academic background, professional experience, skills, achievements, and competencies. The key word here is it is a comprehensive document, which means it is a long piece of long document. It is not just one page long, 1 or 2 pages long. It is a comprehensive document that covers all your academic experience, academic background, whatever studies you have completed, what degrees you have, if you have already done some work, what is the work experience, all that is covered in the CV. The importance is it's a first step in the job application. It is a tool to market yourself and a way to make a positive first impression when you are applying for a job. All right, so that is the key importance of having a CV. So what is the purpose? So one is interview. Your CV should be compelling enough to get you an interview call. The key objective, or the main reason why you are developing a CV, and an attractive CV I should say, is because you want people to, or the recruitment agencies or the HR department to see your CV, and then it should be compelling enough for them to feel like, okay, you are really suitable for this role, and they should shortlist you for interview. So that is the one main purpose. The second purpose is to demonstrate suitability of your skills, experience, and qualification to show that you can be an ideal candidate for the job that has been advertised. So two things you have to remember. One is suitability, and one is getting an interview. So that is the I would say two main purpose of a CV. One thing that often comes about is what is the difference between a CV and a resume. So let's look into that so that it is clear to you. Like I said earlier, a CV is an extensive document. It is a comprehensive document dealing academic and professional background. It is mainly used in academia and research, or even for job applications in general, and often includes personal details. Whereas a resume is a concise document. Okay, so it is not as comprehensive as a CV. It is short and snappy. So 1 or 2 pages long, emphasizing your relevant work experience, some achievements that you have acquired or achieved during your current role or in the previous role. And it's mainly very commonly used in the private sector. So that is the difference. So basically the key difference is one is a large document which is very thorough, and one is like a small and a concise document. Let's look at the structure of a CV. So typically we would expect that you have all these things in your CV. Personal information, so your name, your contact details, your email maybe, your education, what have you studied, your work experience, what skills you bring, what achievements or awards have you won, do you have any publications or presentations, are you a member of any professional bodies, and who are your referees or who can provide a reference for you. So this is a basic skeletal, I would say, for a CV that anyone could have. Now, depending upon your specific industry, there may be some other things that you could add, right? For example, if you are doing if you are doing your PhD, or if you have just finished your PhD and applying for a postdoc position, there are some things like conferences. Maybe you want to mention that you have attended or presented your research at these conferences, or publications. You can say you have 3 publications, 4 publications, and if it is not a long list like 2 or 3, then you can also include that in your CV. So depending upon what background you have, this CV can be tweaked a little bit. The content or the structure of the CV can be changed a little bit. Now let's talk about personal details. So what all things you should at least include? Yeah. So you should have your full name, that is first name and your last name or surname, your professional title, so Mr., Miss, Mrs., or Doctor if you have a PhD. Contact details. So this could be at least your email address and a professional looking email address, and your phone number. A LinkedIn profile is a must, I would say, these days. And optionally, if you want, you can also put a professional photo in your in your CV. What you should avoid is mentioning or adding your age unless it is for a specific role where there is an age barrier or a bar, right? Marital status and your religion. So these 3 things you can exclude or avoid including in your mentioning in your CV. Now let's talk about education. So this is where you have to list all your educational background in a reverse chronological order. So the most recent one goes at the top, then the next, and then the next. So it could be PhD, master's, bachelor's, or if you are just have a bachelor's degree, it could be bachelor's and then your year 12 or year 10 or scores, your qualifications like that. Next thing is to mention the university or the institution where you have completed your qualification. So if you have bachelor's, master's, and PhD, you can mention the universities where you have done it. If you have only a bachelor's and then before that you completed school, you can mention the name of your schools there and which year you have completed your degree. It is very important to mention. Another thing that you can include is your achievements. What are your most significant academic achievements in this section? So it may be you have won an award for something. Maybe like if you are an academic or a PhD, you could say that you have your research won the best paper award at a conference, or you secured a scholarship, a very prestigious scholarship for pursuing your PhD, or you are able to get a travel grant or a conference attendance grant or a conference fee waiver, or any of these things that you can mention. It would be good for you to include that in your CV. So any achievements, big or small, do mention them. Next is your work experience. So you can include the title, job title, what was your role within the organization. You mention the name of the company. Also be very specific of how long you have worked there. Ideally, you can include the month and the year. So from February 2022 to December 2023, like that, or something along those lines. Don't just say 2022 to 2023. So it is not very clear how much experience you have got, and it may also be inferred as you are intentionally trying to hide this information. So don't do that. Please also mention brief description of your responsibilities and your achievements. So see, mentioning achievements is important here. Don't just list your duties that I was supposed to do this. What is more important is to say that while doing what I was assigned to do, I achieved this. I improved the sales by 20%, or I recruited 5 new employees during my career, during my role at this company, and they are still working with the organization and they have progressed within their career. So some things like this, these achievements are to be mentioned in your CV. Focus on your achievements rather than your duties. Okay, I mentioned this already. Experience. When you're mentioning the experience, same like your qualification, you have to mention it in a reverse chronological order. So the latest one, current experience, is at the very top, followed by the rest. Another question that I get asked quite a lot by students is, if I'm currently working, what should I put as the duration? So there you can say the time when you started. So maybe February 2023, right? If you started that, and you can say dash, like a hyphen, and then till date, which means you're currently working there. So that could be a way to show that is your current job. Next is to mention your skills. So this is where you have to be very creative and mention what are your hard skills and soft skills. Like core technical expertise that you have, which is maybe what you have studied in your bachelor's or master's degree. That is your core hard skills that you know. And then you can also mention about your soft skills, like you are good at communication, you have very good command over, you're a good people person, and so on. So this thing is important to be mentioned in this. So what are some of the examples? Technical skills, language skills, software proficiency, communication, leadership, problem solving skills, analytical skills. All these things show your what do you bring to the job other than just the technical expertise. All this language is especially very important in this day and age, because we are such a multicultural society, and if you can speak a different language other than English, that is a strength. So make sure that you highlight what languages you can speak or what languages you're comfortable with, like it could be speaking, or it could be speaking and writing both, not just list the language, but mention your proficiency as well. Achievements and awards. So if you have any recognitions, awards, or achievements that showcase your capabilities and accomplishments, make sure that you put that. What you can also do is, along with your CV, keep a record of all these achievements. For example, if you have won a best researcher award, or if you have won the best student award, any kind of awards that you have won, you can keep a record, maybe take a photo of that certificate or a trophy that you may have got for that award. And if you do not put it in as part of your CV, it could be an attachment that could go along with your job application. And if that specific achievement aligns with the work that you are doing or the job that has been advertised, then you should make it even more clear, make it very obvious, and show that this is how you are a fit person, you are fit for this job. Include academic, professional, or community achievement. So I gave examples of academic or professional achievement just now, but even if you have received like if you have volunteered for some work, and if you have received some certificate for being active being a regular volunteer or best volunteer or whatever, make sure that you include that. Now that point 10 is very important, tailoring your CV. Okay, so what you have to do is, depending upon the job that you are going to apply, you have to try and customize your CV for that job. Okay, don't just use a same CV and apply all different jobs. So you have to show, for example, if a specific job requires certain skills, if you have those skills in your CV, bring them up, make them prominent, make them visible, so that when the recruitment agencies or the HR department is glancing through CVs, this specific skill can be highlighted and can be brought to their attention. So customize your CV for every job application. Emphasize the experience and skills that are most relevant to the job description. So same like what I said just now. So if you have completed some of the job, if you have experience in doing something which this particular job is asking for, then mention that at the very top. So that at least anyone who is reviewing your CV, they can see that, okay, this person has done this and this, which we are also looking for in our company, right? So That has to come out very clearly. Now let's talk about some do's and don'ts. What should you do? Be concise, use action verbs, proofread your errors, and use a professional format. So this is fairly straightforward to understand, right? But still we find CVs that are not professionally formatted, or there are spelling mistakes. So don't do these mistakes with your CV. Now, what you should not do. What you should not do is to lie or exaggerate your qualifications or your experience, or use an unprofessional email address. I have seen so many funny email addresses on CVs that sometimes it makes me laugh. So try to make an email address which looks professional. Ideally, it should be your first name dot your last name at gmail.com, Hotmail, or whichever Yahoo email address that you're using. It should look professional. Don't use any numbers or your birthdays or something attached to your name. Okay. Now I want to discuss the common mistakes that we see in the CVs, and you should avoid these mistakes. So what I suggest is, if you have your CV handy right now, maybe open it up, and as I go through each of these mistakes, see whether that mistake is there in your CV or not. And if you do find, then correct it. Okay, so the first mistake is typos. These mistakes can give an impression of carelessness and lack of attention to detail. And employers do not want this, right? They want their employees to be very, very careful, and they should be should not make typographical mistakes in the CV or when you are working. So make sure that there are no typos. Customization. One thing, like I did mention about this earlier, that when you're applying for a job, try to customize your CV for every job that you apply, and don't apply like 10-15 jobs in a day. If you're I can understand you may be very eager to get a job if you do not have a job, but whichever job you apply it as if that is the job that you want. That is, prepare your application, prepare your CV in such a way that you are going to get it. The job is for you, and you are just making sure that as a formality you are submitting all this. So your CV has to be perfectly and customized for this particular job. Okay, so do that. Don't use a common CV for every job that you apply. Next thing is, your CV should be concise. Do not overload your CV with information that would overwhelm the reader. Keep it concise and easy to read. It has to be concise but comprehensive, right? What I mean is, it should have all the information that is required in the CV, but it has to be concisely written. Right? Don't write long paragraphs in your CV. That is not what a CV is supposed to be. Another thing that you can do is use active language, because that makes your achievement and contribution stand out more clearly. So if you have your current CV, just maybe, and if you're comfortable using ChatGPT or any other AI tool, just put the CV or the selected text from your CV and ask whether it is passive tone or active tone. And if it is passive tone, ask it to convert to active tone. So if you do that, that will make your CV stand out even better, and it will be much clearer to read. Next thing is, in your CV, you're only listing your duties. Yeah, what I told you earlier on as well is that you have to focus on your accomplishments. Yeah, in your role, whatever you were assigned to do, what did that result in? What did you accomplish? What did you achieve by doing the role, not just completing the work? So mention that. Don't just focus on duties, mention your accomplishments. Next is referees or references. At the end of the CV, you normally put 1 or 2 references who the employer or the recruiter can contact if they want to know a bit more about you. So if you're going to put somebody's name in your CV, ask them, get their permission first, and only then add their details. And another thing that you should do is you should mention them that I have applied these few jobs and I have listed you as the referee in my CV. Because what I have seen is many a times I get emails or I get calls from recruitment agents for some of my students, and they have not told me what job they have applied or if they have added me as their as a referee in their CV. So don't do that. That's not a good practice. Next is keep your CV relevant. Don't the personal details not relevant for the job or outdated work experience can clutter your CV. So just make your CV simple. Only put relevant information that is needed for this job. And this I see many a times. For example, when students are studying, they may do some non-professional jobs, right? But when they're applying for a professional role, they still mention that in their CV. In the first job, it is okay, but once you're applying for the second job, you can remove all these non-professional jobs that you have done in the past. Consistency is again very important. Use consistent font sizes, styles throughout your CV. Typically, if you want to design a CV like something that is looking very flashy and really nice, you can do that. But make sure that the fonts that you use are consistent and the font size and style. Don't keep changing just to fit the content in the 1 or 2 pages or 3 pages, however long your CV happens to be at the start of your career. Key skills. So not mentioning your key skills or not clearly showcasing skills that you have relevant to the job can make you appear less qualified. So this is what I said earlier as well, that if you have certain skills that are relevant to this job, bring them up at the top. Let them see it just under your personal details. You can put this in a big bold that these are the skills that I have and that makes me suitable for this role. So make it very clear. Use clear language. Don't use too much industry specific lingo because it will just make your CV hard to understand. So try to use common language without too many abbreviations that everyone can understand. Keywords. Now this is important in the day and age of AI. Many companies use applicant tracking system that scan for specific keywords related to the job. So if you want your CV to go through that tracking system, you need to have specific keywords in your CV. And this brings me back to the topic about customizing your CV for every job application. So if you see a job application, read it clearly, the items that they have listed, the role that they have mentioned. You make sure that those words are there in your CV, because if you have the experience, of course, because this is what they would be searching. These ATS will be looking for those specific keywords. Email address, use a professional email address, because if it is not professional, it doesn't give a very good impression, like I mentioned before. So that is the end for today's session. Next video that I'm going to do is very interesting, and it is called as what is brain food. And this would be very interesting for everyone, basically not just for students, as I would say. But this is where I will cover what are the different types of foods that you should eat or have a habit or a routine to eat such foods, so that your brain is sharp. And that is what would help you to study hard or work hard or have the concentration while you are working or studying. Okay, so I hope this short webinar on CVs was helpful for you. Like I said, look at your CV and look at these common mistakes that I have mentioned. And if you identify that these mistakes are there in your CV, make sure that you remove that and fix it. All right, that's it for today's video. I would like to thank you all for your support. This has been I think the 30th video this month. And I started with nothing, just an idea that I would want to have daily videos. And I'm nearly at the end of this month. And during this course, I also found a sponsor for this video. So I would like to thank Sky Space for sponsoring my videos. If you would like to use or subscribe to Sky Space, check the discount coupon in the description of this video. All right, thank you very much, and I'll see you again tomorrow. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks a lot. Bye.